Imagine walking into the most prestigious event on the British social calendar, an event your family has dominated for decades, only to find the gates barred and your name scrubbed from the guest list. This is the reality facing Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie in early 2026. The whispers echoing through the halls of Buckingham Palace suggest that the sisters have been effectively ghosted from public-facing duties, including the legendary royal Ascot. This isn't just a minor scheduling conflict, it's a calculated, cold-blooded maneuver that signals the end of an era. For the first time in their lives, the York sisters are realizing that being a princess isn't just a title, it's a target. And the person pulling the trigger, it might just be their own Uncle King Charles. The atmosphere in London has shifted from sympathy to a sharp clinical focus on accountability. For years, the public viewed Beatrice and Eugenie as innocent bystanders to their father's spectacular fall from grace. They were the good ones, the hardworking daughters who stayed out of the headlines, while their father, the man formerly known as Prince Andrew, spiraled into an abyss of scandal. But the grace period is officially over. Following the shocking arrest of Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor in February 2026 on suspicion of misconduct in public office, the palace has decided that neutrality is no longer an option. The connection between the York family and the dark shadows of the Epstein files has become a stain that no amount of royal polish can scrub away. But what makes this situation truly explosive is the underlying power play happening behind the scenes. King Charles and Prince William are no longer just considering a smaller monarchy, they are actively building it. And to do that, they need to set a precedent. They need to show that titles are earned, not just inherited, and certainly not held onto when they become toxic. The York sisters are now the ultimate test case. If they can be convinced to voluntarily renounce their HRH status, it sends a message that will vibrate all the way to a mansion in Montecito. This isn't just about Beatrice and Eugenie, it's about the very definition of what it means to be a royal in 2026. Think back to why these titles existed in the first place. Unlike Princess Anne or Prince Edward, who chose a more modest path for their children, Andrew and Sarah Ferguson were obsessed with the prestige. They fought for those HRH styles, believing that princess was a shield that would protect their daughters forever. In reality, they were handing them a ticking time bomb. Now that bomb has gone off. Recent reports suggest that the sisters' names have appeared in newly released documents, raising questions about a trip to Miami and a lunch with a certain convicted individual that took place years ago. While no criminal accusations have been made against the sisters, the optics are catastrophic. In the world of the 24-hour news cycle, perception is reality, and the perception of the York brand is currently at an all-time low. The Ascot Ban was the first public sign that the palace is moving toward a strategic separation. Sources say the sisters were blindsided and aghast when they were told they wouldn't be part of the royal procession this year. For Beatrice, who has been trying to build a career in the Middle East, and Eugenie, who co-founded a charity dedicated to ending modern slavery, the irony is painful. How can you lead an anti-slavery collective when your family name is tied to the most notorious trafficking scandal of the century? The conflict has reached a breaking point, and Eugenie's recent decision to step down from her role as patron of Anti-Slavery International is proof that the pressure is working. But while the Yorks are facing their reckoning, another royal drama is unfolding on the global stage, highlighting the hypocrisy that has the King and William seeing red. Just as Prince William landed in Brazil for his massive Earthshot Prize tour, a masterclass in modern meaningful royalty, a familiar shadow appeared. Prince Harry announced a high-profile trip to Canada, centered on military veterans, right as his brother was taking his first steps on Brazilian soil. To many in the palace, this wasn't an accident, it was a declaration of war. The timing was described as appalling, a blatant attempt to snatch the spotlight back to the Sussex brand. It's this exact kind of clashing schedules and branding wars that Charles is desperate to end. If Beatrice and Eugenie renounce their titles, the dominoes begin to fall. It creates a moral certainty that the king can use to justify further actions. If two princesses who have done nothing wrong are willing to give up their status for the good of the institution, how can a duke living in California justify keeping his while simultaneously profiting from the family he left behind? This isn't just a family feud, it's a restructuring of a billion-dollar brand that is fighting for its life. The York sisters are being told that their sacrifice will be seen as an act of renewal and maturity. But for the sisters, it feels like a betrayal of their identity. The reality of 2026 is that the monarchy can no longer afford passengers. The era of the minor royal living off the taxpayer while enjoying a life of luxury is ending. Charles wants a lean, mean professional machine. William wants zero tolerance for scandal. This leaves Beatrice and Eugenie in an impossible position. They are mortified by their father's actions, yet their very names tie them to him forever. By renouncing their titles, they would effectively be saying, "We are more than just Yorks." They would be stepping into the world as Mrs. Mapelli-Mozzi and Mrs. Brooksbank individuals, judged by their own merits rather than their father's sins. But there's a darker side to this renunciation plan. Some PR experts argue that giving up the titles could backfire. It might look like an admission of guilt, a quiet way to disappear before more revelations come to light. Is the king protecting them, or is he throwing them to the wolves to save the crown? The public is divided. Some see the York sisters as victims of their parents' pomposity and catastrophic judgment, while others believe they've benefited from the royal system for too long to play the victim now. As we watch this power play unfold, one thing is clear: the House of Windsor is changing. The days of royalty for the sake of royalty are gone. Whether it's William playing volleyball in Brazil or the York sisters being barred from the royal box, the message is the same: the crown comes first. Always. If Beatrice and Eugenie choose to walk away from their HRH status, they won't just be changing their names, they'll be changing the future of the monarchy itself. They would be the first to show that the slimmed-down vision isn't just a PR slogan, it's a reality that requires real sacrifice. Wait until you hear the latest on the secret meetings happening at Sandringham. Sources say the sisters aren't going down without a fight. There's talk of a counter-strategy involving a series of candid interviews where they finally speak out about the horrific limbo they've been living in. Imagine Beatrice sitting down for a primetime special, explaining the toll her father's actions have taken on her mental health and her marriage. It would be a high-stakes gamble, one that could either win back the public's heart or alienate the king forever. The pressure isn't just coming from the public, it's coming from within their own marital homes. Rumors are swirling that the constant scrutiny is putting an immense strain on their relationships. Their husbands, Edoardo Mapelli-Mozzi and Jack Brooksbank, didn't sign up for a life of radioactive associations. They are businessmen with their own reputations to protect. If the York name becomes a liability for their careers, the family dynamic becomes even more fractured. We're seeing a royal family that is eating its own to survive the 21st century. But let's look at the Sussex effect one more time. Harry and Meghan have shown that you can leave the firm and still maintain a global platform. Is it possible that Beatrice and Eugenie are looking at California not as a warning, but as a blueprint? If they give up their HRH titles, they are free to chase the same commercial deals that Harry has. They could write books, launch lifestyle brands, and speak on the global stage without the palace's comms team breathing down their necks. But there's a catch: without the HRH, are they actually interesting? Or are they just two more wealthy women in London with a very awkward family history? The king's slimming down of the monarchy is also a financial necessity. The 2026 Sovereign Grant Review has placed the royal budget under the microscope like never before. With the cost of living crisis still biting and the public demanding transparency, every penny spent on security for non-working royals is seen as a disgrace. If Beatrice and Eugenie want to keep their titles, the public wants them to pay for their own protection. That's a bill that runs into the millions. By forcing them to renounce their status, Charles is effectively closing a loophole that has been a PR nightmare for decades. And then there's the William factor. The Prince of Wales is reportedly the one pushing for the hardest line against the York sisters. He is focused on his future reign, and he wants it to be unimpeachable. To William, any association with the Andrew scandal is a threat to the stability of the throne he will one day inherit. He is described as being clinical in his approach, viewing the sisters as collateral damage in a much larger war for the monarchy's soul. This has created a civil war within the family, with Princess Anne reportedly trying to play peacemaker, but finding herself increasingly sidelined by the new guard. As the 2026 Royal Ascot approaches, the absence of the York sisters will be the elephant in the room. For years, they were the stars of the show, their bold hats and easy smiles a staple of the event. Now the royal carriages will roll by without them. It's a visual representation of their new status, outer circle. They are royals in name, only fading into the background of a family that is moving on without them. The Ascot Ban isn't just about a horse race, it's a public execution of their royal standing. But what if this backfires? What if the public starts to see the York sisters as the sacrificial lambs of a ruthless king? There is a growing sentiment that Charles is being too hard on his nieces. They didn't choose their father. They didn't choose the scandal. They've lived their lives with dignity and have worked hard to build their own paths. If the king pushes them too far, he risks looking like a bully rather than a modernizer. It's a delicate balancing act, and right now the king is walking on a very thin wire. In the coming months, we will see the final act of this royal drama. The decisions made in the boardrooms of Buckingham Palace will echo for generations. Will Beatrice and Eugenie become the first voluntary commoners of the modern era? Will their sacrifice be the key to saving the monarchy, or will it be the moment the public realizes that the crown is a poisoned chalice? The stakes have never been higher, and the world is watching every move. The story of the York sisters is a reminder that in the world of royalty, nothing is permanent. Status, prestige, and even family loyalty can be traded for the survival of the institution. As they navigate this horrific limbo, Beatrice and Eugenie are discovering that the only thing more dangerous than being a royal is being a royal who has become inconvenient. The slimmed-down monarchy is here, and it is more ruthless than anyone imagined. If this deep dive into the 2026 Royal Power Play has you hooked, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We are tracking every move from the palace, from the secret meetings to the public snubs. The world of the Windsors is changing fast, and you don't want to miss a single second of the drama. What do you think? Should the sisters give up their titles to save the family, or is the king being too ruthless? Let us know in the comments. The future of the British monarchy is being written right now in the shadow of scandals and the light of environmental summits. It's a story of legacy survival and the high cost of a crown. Whether you're a royalist or a skeptic, you have to admit there is no drama quite like the House of Windsor. Stay tuned because the next chapter is about to begin, and it's going to be shocking. From the Ascot Ban to the Miami Files, the York sisters are finding themselves at the center of a storm they can't control. They are the faces of a generation caught between the old world of privilege and the new world of accountability. How they emerge from this crisis will tell us everything we need to know about the future of the royal family. Will they be the heroes who saved the crown through sacrifice, or the victims of a system that no longer has a place for them? The clock is ticking, and the king is waiting for an answer. And as the final dominoes begin to fall, we are left to wonder about the Sussex shadow. If Harry and Meghan are the cautionary tale and William and Catherine are the ideal, where does that leave the rest of the family? The Yorks are the forgotten royals, fighting for a seat at a table that is getting smaller by the day. This isn't just about Beatrice and Eugenie, it's about everyone who carries a royal title in the 21st century. The era of the Grand Monarchy is over. The era of the essential monarchy has begun. And in this new world, there is no room for error. This is no longer just about the girls. It is about the very oxygen the monarchy breathes. For King Charles, the math is simple. Every connection to the York brand is a withdrawal from the bank of public trust. And after the events of early 2026, that account is dangerously close to being overdrawn. But the fallout of this title purge reaches far beyond the borders of the UK. Inside the Commonwealth, where Republican movements are gaining steam, the York scandal has become a primary weapon for those looking to abolish the monarchy altogether. They point to Beatrice and Eugenie's HRH status as proof that the system is built on a foundation of unearned privilege and shielded from the consequences that would crush any normal family. By forcing this renunciation, Charles isn't just cleaning his own house, he's trying to save the neighborhood. What's even more chilling is the reported financial audit the king has ordered for all non-working royals. Rumors from within the Crown estate suggest that the York sisters have been told that their residence at Royal Lodge, the sprawling, high-maintenance estate their father is desperately clinging to, will no longer be guaranteed if they maintain their current status. The message is clear. Go private, go commercial, but do it without our name, and do it on your own dime. This isn't just a suggestion, it's a financial stranglehold. Imagine the sisters having to navigate the competitive world of luxury real estate or corporate consulting without the princess prefix. It's a terrifying prospect for two women who have spent their entire lives defined by their proximity to the throne. But there is a potential third way that some insiders believe the sisters are exploring. Instead of a total renunciation, there's talk of a suspended title status, a legal limbo where they retain the titles privately but never use them in any public or commercial capacity. This would be a desperate attempt to save face while still complying with the king's slimmed-down mandate. However, Prince William is reportedly dead set against this compromise. He sees any half measure as a weakness that the Sussexes and the media will exploit. In William's view, the line in the sand has to be permanent. You are either in or you are out. There is no middle ground in the 2026 monarchy. As we look toward the end of the year, the York Ultimatum will likely become the blueprint for how the palace handles problematic branches of the family tree. If Charles succeeds in stripping or pressuring the sisters into silence, he sets the stage for a much larger confrontation with Harry and Meghan. The Yorks are the low-hanging fruit in this legal battle, but the real prize is the total control of the royal brand. The sisters are currently living through a nightmare of social exile, but their sacrifice might be the only thing that keeps the House of Windsor from collapsing under the weight of its own history. This is a high-stakes chess match where the pieces are living, breathing family members, and the board is the entire world's stage. Whether the sisters choose the path of integrity or ego, the House of Windsor will never be the same. The Grand Royal is a dying breed replaced by a new, colder, and far more efficient version of the crown. One that doesn't just ask for loyalty, it demands total, absolute compliance. So, as we wait for the next bombshell announcement, remember this. In the royal family, silence is often the loudest sound of all. The silence from the palace regarding the York sisters' future is deafening. It's the sound of a family deciding its fate. It's the sound of a king making a choice. And it's the sound of a legacy being redefined. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.